Exploring Disability, authored by Colin Barnes and Geof Mercer, presents a significant contribution to the advancement of the social model of disability, offering a revised edition that aligns with contemporary international discourse and policy initiatives. The book reframes the experience of disability not as an individual affliction, but as a product of social relationships, reflecting global efforts to promote the rights of persons with disabilities, such as the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities and the European Disability Strategy 2010-2020. With approximately 1 out of 4 EU citizens living with some form of disability, and nearly half of them being elderly, the book addresses a pressing societal issue. Despite increased attention to disability studies, there remains a need for further sociological discourse in this field. The second edition builds upon the foundations laid by its predecessor, published in 1999, to develop disability theory within a sociological framework. It traces the evolution of disability from a perceived personal tragedy to a socially constructed condition, providing an extensive review of pertinent literature in the field. The book delves into the historical trajectory of disability in society and policy, with a particular focus on the British experience, while also drawing comparisons with the regulatory landscape and policies in the USA. The initial chapters, 1-4, explore the historical development of disability in Western societies, emphasizing the role of grassroots movements and associations of people with disabilities in driving paradigm shifts. The analysis begins with Talcott Parsons' functionalist perspective on the sick role, progresses to Irving Goffman's concept of stigma, and culminates in a post-structuralist examination of illness narratives. Throughout the text, Barnes and Mercer critically engage with key sociological theories and concepts to elucidate the complex dynamics of disability. They highlight the transformative impact of grassroots activism in challenging societal perceptions and advocating for systemic change. By contextualizing disability within broader sociological frameworks, the authors illuminate the multifaceted nature of disability as a social phenomenon shaped by historical, cultural, and political factors. Moreover, the book offers insights into the regulatory landscape and policy developments surrounding disability, shedding light on the evolution of disability rights and inclusion efforts. By situating their analysis within both national and international contexts, Barnes and Mercer provide a comprehensive understanding of the complexities inherent in addressing disability within contemporary society. The socio-historical perspective elucidated in Exploring Disability underscores the entrenched notion of disability as a personal tragedy, perpetuated by a medical model that conflates impairment with disability. However, this perspective has been challenged by the emergence of the biopsychosocial model of disability, which emphasizes the interaction between biological, psychological, and social factors. Central to this shift is the recognition of the exclusionary relationship between individuals with impairments and wider society. The introduction of the social model of disability has catalyzed the development of diverse social theories, which illuminate structural barriers and personal experiences shaping disability. Moreover, there has been a resurgence of interest in the contributions of medical sociology and social sciences to the understanding of disability, further enriching the discourse on disability theory. Chapter 5 delves into disability policy within the framework of welfare states, shedding light on the pervasive social inequalities experienced by individuals with disabilities. The chapter underscores the institutional discrimination prevalent in various spheres of life, including education, employment, housing, transportation, and leisure. These structural factors contribute to the marginalization and social exclusion of people with disabilities, perpetuating inequality and limiting their participation in society. In Chapter 6, the authors critically analyze disability policies, highlighting the gap between formal political rhetoric and the realities of implementation. Despite efforts to address inequalities and promote deinstitutionalization through community care initiatives, the authors argue that recent policies often fall short in their approach and resource allocation. They critique the underlying ideology of care, which they view as oppressive and objectifying, and emphasize the limitations of mainstream political discourse in achieving substantive change. The focus shifts to the UK's policy landscape, where there has been a notable emphasis on the concept of independent living. Grassroots organizations have played a pivotal role in challenging paternalistic approaches and advocating for greater autonomy and self-determination for individuals with disabilities. Their activism has influenced mainstream political agendas and garnered attention from international organizations such as the World Bank and the United Nations, signaling a broader recognition of disability rights on the global stage. In Chapter 8, the book explores the representation of disability in culture and media, examining how these narratives shape disability identity. Drawing on a cultural studies approach, the authors analyze iconic works such as the film The Elephant Man, illustrating the power of media in perpetuating stereotypes and prejudice. They underscore the need for more nuanced representations that challenge existing biases and foster a more inclusive understanding of disability. The last two chapters of Exploring Disability mark significant contributions in this second edition, addressing contemporary debates at the forefront of disability studies. Chapter 9 delves into the complex intersection of the right to life with ethical dilemmas surrounding euthanasia, eugenics, and advancements in biotechnology. Through critical analysis, the chapter exposes the limitations of these debates, which often reinforce the traditional narrative of disability as a personal tragedy, rather than advocating for meaningful political and social change towards a more inclusive society. In contrast, Chapter 10 shifts the focus to a global perspective, examining the experiences of individuals with disabilities in developing countries, where poverty, inequality, and disability intersect within the broader context of capitalist industrialization and globalization. The chapter underscores the importance of grassroots movements and localized policy initiatives, rejecting standardized international interventions in favor of bottom-up approaches. It also emphasizes the emergence of a distinct globalized disability identity and culture. Exploring Disability serves as a comprehensive guide to disability theories and approaches. The author's active involvement in disability organizations and movements lends credibility to the scholarly discourse presented in the book. Their contributions have been instrumental in establishing disability studies as a recognized field of sociological inquiry, particularly within the UK, where they have played pivotal roles in institutions such as the Centre for Disability Studies at the University of Leeds and Disability Press an independent publishing house dedicated to disability issues. Central to the book is its sociological analysis of disability, which challenges prevailing notions of disability as merely an individual failing or personal tragedy. Instead, the authors advocate for a broader investigation encompassing meso and macro levels of analysis, emphasizing the social construction of disability. While the book offers valuable insights for students and researchers in disability studies, some areas could be further developed, particularly the economic dimensions of disability, within the context of economic crises and austerity measures. Moreover, the book predominantly focuses on the identity of people with disabilities, without fully engaging with intersectional analyses that explore the interconnectedness of disability with other social categories, such as gender, class, and ethnicity. While the British context is extensively examined in comparative historical perspective with experiences in the USA, a more nuanced consideration of disability within a European context would have enriched the narrative, offering insights into diverse approaches to disability policy and activism.